Have you ever looked at someone in their 80s or even 90s and thought, wow, they're still so full of life? They're walking without help, their mind is sharp, and they seem genuinely happy. You might wonder, what's their secret? Is it just good luck? Good genes? Maybe a little. But more often than not, the people who live well into their 80s and beyond are doing something, or rather not doing certain things. That makes all the difference. And that's what we're talking about today. If you're over 60, this isn't just another list of tips. This is about real, practical changes that can help you stay healthier, more independent, and feeling younger. Because aging doesn't have to mean slowing down or giving up. In fact, it can be a beautiful chapter filled with purpose, clarity, and energy if you know what to avoid. So, grab a comfy seat, maybe a cup of tea or coffee, and let's have a real talk about 5 things people who live past 80 never do. These are things you can start avoiding right now to protect your health and enjoy more years doing the things you love, with the people you love. Let's start with something that might surprise you. People who age well and live longer never stop moving. Now, I don't mean they're running marathons or lifting heavy weights at the gym, but they don't let their days be filled with long hours of sitting around. They understand that motion is life. It's not about being perfect. It's about staying consistently active in small, manageable ways. Think about it. How easy is it to fall into a routine of sitting most of the day? Maybe you spend your mornings at the kitchen table reading the paper, your afternoons watching TV, and your evenings resting. It sounds cozy, but over time, your muscles weaken, your balance slips, and your energy fades. Those little aches and stiffness, they creep in slowly, until one day it's hard to even get out of a chair without effort. But the people who make it to 80 and beyond with strength and grace, they don't let that happen. They take walks every day, even if it's just around the block or down the hallway. They garden, stretch, clean their own homes, or dance in the living room to their favorite music. They move, and that movement keeps their heart strong, their joints working, and their mind sharp. So if you've been putting off that daily walk, or if you've been feeling sluggish, start small, just 5 or 10 minutes a day. Then build from there. Your body will thank you, and more importantly, you'll feel more alive. Now, the second thing long-living seniors never do is give up on learning. Sounds simple, right? But let me ask you, when's the last time you learned something new? Not just watch a show or read a headline, but really challenge your brain? You see, the mind is just like a muscle. If you don't use it, it gets weak. The people who stay sharp into their 80s and 90s, they never stop feeding their brain. They don't fall into the trap of thinking, I'm too old for that. In fact, they're curious. They ask questions, try new things, and even learn new skills. I know a woman in her 80s who taught herself how to use a tablet just so she could video chat with her grandchildren. Another man started painting in his 70s just for fun, and now he sells his work at local markets. It's not about being perfect or even being good at something. It's about staying mentally engaged. Because when your brain stays active, you stay connected, not just to the world, but to yourself. If you want to protect your memory, your focus, and your ability to make decisions as you age, pick something new to try this week. Maybe it's a puzzle, a language app, a craft, or even just reading a new book instead of watching reruns. The key is to challenge your brain a little bit every day. So let's pause right there for a second. We talked about the power of moving more and learning more. 2 things that may seem small, but they stack up over time. These are habits that truly set the foundation for a longer, more vibrant life. Because aging well isn't about expensive vitamins or fancy diets. It's about the little things we do and the things we avoid. And now that we've opened the door to these first 2 game-changing shifts, we're just getting started. Let's keep going deeper, because the next thing people who live past 80 never do might really surprise you. All right, let's keep going. We've already talked about how the healthiest, longest-living folks never stop moving and never stop learning. But there's another thing they absolutely avoid, and it's one a lot of us don't even realize we're doing. They never dwell on bitterness. Now, this one goes straight to the heart, doesn't it? Because let's be honest, life isn't always fair. By the time we reach our 60s, 70s, or beyond, most of us have lived through things that hurt deeply. Maybe someone betrayed you. Maybe your children don't treat you the way they should. Maybe life just didn't turn out the way you hoped. And it's easy, so easy, to let that turn into resentment, anger, or sadness that just sits with you. But here's the truth. People who thrive into their 80s and beyond don't carry those heavy emotional bags. They find ways to let go, not because they weren't hurt, but because they know carrying it only poisons their own peace. And here's the amazing part. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or pretending it didn't matter. It means choosing your peace over your pain. I once met a man in his 90s, full of joy and laughter, who told me his wife had passed away 20 years earlier. They had been married for over 40 years. He said, "I could have stayed stuck in that loss, but I knew she wouldn't want that. So I chose to live, to smile, to keep loving the life I had left." And he did, every single day. That kind of mindset, that's what keeps your heart healthy. That's what keeps you waking up with purpose. Bitterness, regret, and resentment, they weigh us down in ways we don't always see. But the people who live the longest are often the ones who learn to forgive, not for the other person, but for themselves. If there's something weighing heavy on your heart, I want to gently encourage you. Don't let it steal another day. Talk to someone. Write a letter, even if you never send it. Say what needs to be said, even if it's just to yourself. And then let it go. You deserve peace. You really do. Now, while we're talking about habits that quietly steal our years, let's talk about another one, and it's more common than we think. People who live well into their 80s and beyond, they never stop connecting with others. They don't isolate themselves. You might be thinking, well, that's easier said than done. And I get it. Sometimes friends move away, or we lose people we love. Family can get busy, and before you know it, your world feels a lot smaller than it used to be. But here's what's important. Isolation is a silent threat, not just to your emotional health, but to your physical health too. Studies have shown that loneliness can be as harmful as smoking or obesity. Isn't that wild? But people who live longer, they make an effort to stay connected. They find little ways to reach out, even when it's hard. They join a club. They volunteer. They make a weekly phone call part of their routine. It's not about having tons of friends. It's about meaningful connection. You don't need a crowd. Just one or two people who really see you, listen to you, and laugh with you. And if you're thinking, but I don't have anyone right now, please know it's never too late. There are community centers, senior groups, online meetups, even local churches or libraries that offer free events. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is take the first step toward a new connection, because we were made for connection. And people who live the longest, they know that staying socially engaged isn't a luxury. It's a lifeline. So here we are, and we've covered 4 powerful shifts so far. Moving more, staying mentally active, releasing bitterness, and staying connected. Each one is like a piece of a puzzle that helps you live not just longer, but better. And if any of this is hitting home for you, if you feel like it's time for a change, good. That means you're alive, you're aware, and you still have so much left to give. We got one more key to unlock, a final thing that those long-living, vibrant folks never do. And it just might be the one that pulls everything together. And here we are, the last piece of the puzzle. The final thing people who live past 80 really thrive past 80 never do is this. They never lose their sense of purpose. It might sound simple, but purpose is powerful. It's what gets you out of bed in the morning. It's what gives your days meaning. It's what makes you feel needed, valuable, and alive. And when people lose that sense of purpose, when they feel like they've already done all they had to do in life, like they're just waiting out the clock, that's when the decline often begins. But the ones who live longer, they always have a reason to keep going. And it doesn't have to be something grand or dramatic. It might be tending to a garden, or caring for a pet, helping raise a grandchild, volunteering once a week, even just being the wise one in your friend group or family, the one people come to for advice or comfort. That's purpose. I met a woman once, 87 years old, who baked cookies for the neighborhood every Friday, rain or shine. She'd lived alone for years, but she said the best part of her week was seeing kids stop by to say hi and grab a warm cookie. That little ritual gave her joy and gave those kids something to look forward to. She said, I might be old, but I still matter. And she was right. See, when you have a purpose, your heart beats stronger, your brain stays more active, your spirit feels more grounded. And studies back this up. Having a clear sense of meaning in your life is directly linked to lower risks of disease, depression, and even early death. It's that real. So if you're sitting there wondering, what's my purpose now? You're not alone. Many people feel lost after retirement, after kids move out, or after major life changes. But you still have time to shape this chapter. Think about what lights you up. What makes you feel useful or fulfilled? What small act makes a difference for someone else? Maybe it's mentoring a younger person. Maybe it's creating something with your hands. Maybe it's sharing your life stories with someone who's never heard them. You still have so much to offer. And the beautiful thing? Purpose evolves. What mattered to you at 30 might not matter at 70. That's okay. Let it change. Let yourself change. You're still writing your story, and every day is a fresh page. So, let's take a moment here. We've talked about 5 things the longest living people never do. They don't sit still for too long. They don't stop challenging their minds. They don't hold on to bitterness. They don't isolate themselves. And they don't lose their purpose. Now, I want you to think about something. Which one of these speaks to you the most right now? Which one feels like a little nudge, maybe a gentle wake-up call? That's your starting point. You don't need to change everything overnight. But if you can start with just one small shift, one new habit, one release of something heavy, you're already on your way. Because here's the truth. You are not too old. You are not too late. Your best days aren't behind you, unless you believe they are. Aging isn't about fading. It's about refining, getting clearer, getting wiser, getting stronger in new ways. So if you've been feeling tired, discouraged, or unsure what's next, let me remind you, your life is still valuable. Your story still matters. And the way you live today, the choices you make, the mindset you keep, can absolutely shape the days, months, and years ahead. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Which habit are you focusing on? What's helped you stay energized, sharp, and connected as you've gotten older? Let's share, support, and inspire each other, because none of us are in this alone. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. We're building a community of strong, wise, and vibrant souls who believe that life after 60 is something to celebrate, not fear. Here's to living with strength, purpose, and joy at any age. You've got this. We're with you. Take good care, and I'll see you in the next video.